Hey guys, it's BearInABackpack, and today we're going to be looking at Shopkeep by Strangefire, published by Excalibur and Merge Games. In Shopkeep, you play as a fantasy RPG shopkeeper who tries to do their best to build their business to become the best store in town. The basic gameplay of Shopkeep is, well, actually fairly easy. You build your shop, you fill it with items, and try to sell to customers to make as much money as possible. Initially, you start out with just 2 rooms. You have your main shop and then your back room. In the main shop, well, that's actually where you do all your business. You sell your wares, you repair things, restock things, deal with customers, things like that. In the back room, that's where you receive all your orders or your shipments, so all of your restocks. You know, whenever you run out of health potions or shields or anything like that, you can order more and they'll appear back there. Before you can open your doors for business, you do have to actually set up display furniture, because nobody really wants to buy things straight off the ground. So you can set up shelves, counters, tabletops, weapon racks, things like that. And, you know, you maybe need 3 or 4 shelves for some health potions or some frost resist potions. Maybe you want some weapon racks to display some, you know, maybe some swords, some axes, arrows, things like that. Or maybe a nice counter to display a whole bunch of shurikens and leather tunics. Once you have your display set up the way you want, you need to fill them with items. Initially, you can only buy a few basic items, but as you level up and upgrade your abilities, you'll be given access to more items, and you'll also be able to attract more types of customers, such as warriors, mages, and druids. Once you've done this, you're ready for business. Once you open your doors, you start the day in Shopkeep. Now, the day is split into 3 particular segments. There's the morning phase, the day phase, and the evening phase. Each of these phases lasts 5 minutes, and this is the time when you're going to be selling merchandise to customers. Morning and evening tend to be fairly slow, where the brunt of your business will occur during the day phase. And man, does it show up fast. Because you'll have, maybe a few customers in the morning trickling in here and there, but man, when you hit day phase, the floodgates open and they just start swarming. There'll be customers left and right, taking things off of shelves, dropping them on the ground, telling you your prices are way overpriced, but so let's be honest, you're probably going to mark it up 170%. We all do it, it's okay. But some customers are not going to like that, and they'll go throwing it across the room. Screw them. Now, at any point during the day, sometimes customers will try to steal from you, and you'd think they'd be, well, stealthy about it, especially because there's rogues. You would think rogues would be really good at that. Turns out not so much. Pretty much everybody, when they take something, will just yell, "I shouldn't have done that," and then go running towards the door. Pretty obvious, I have to say. Need to work on their technique. There are 2 main ways you can deal with thieves, either your trusty axe or your magic. Yeah, in this game it's kind of brutal. You steal something, you're gonna die. Oddly enough, if you use your axe to kill the thief and take your stuff back, people aren't really okay with that. They'll actually go running screaming from your shop as if you've committed some horrible atrocity. However, if you use magic, specifically the lightning bolt, and just zap them into a smoldering husk of a skeleton, that's fine. Nobody cares. Perfectly normal. Nothing to see here, folks. Everything's fine. Oh, you like the health potion? Go ahead, buy it. Yeah. Oh, this? No, nope, just, don't worry about it. Everything's fine. Totally fine. When the timer runs out for the final phase, all remaining customers in the shop will start running to one of the 3 exits of the town, regardless if they were about to buy something or not. Now, the unfortunate thing is the running animation for them just fleeing for the exits happens to be the same one as somebody who just stole something, and if you're not paying attention to the clock, can lead to a really awkward massacre. Or 2. Or 3. Yeah. Whoops. My bad. Well, horrible misunderstandings aside, once the day ends, you're free to restock your shelves, maybe buy more items to have in reserve for next time, just in case something was really, really popular and you ran out during the day. And you also have the ability to repair your displays, which will degrade over time as you restock them. One of the best ways to grow your business is by using upgrades. Now you can get upgrades with K points that you gain from leveling up or completing daily challenges. These upgrades come in a variety of forms, including new furniture, new items, a wider clientele, new abilities, new equipment such as the cauldron and grinder, and the ability to have your own personal champion go on adventures for you to get you items. Although you can make quite a bit of money just selling the basic items that you can order off the invoice, the real money comes from using the cauldron and the grinder, as well as your champion, to make enchanted magical items that are sold for a lot more money. Use the grinder to reduce items to basic components like wood, metal, myrrh, gold, and bone. And let's just say there's one particular way of getting lots of bone. Might have something to do with a certain lightning spell, and some thieves, and a grinder,
Yeah.
Once you've reduced items to their liquid forms, you can use them in the cauldron to create enchanted items. Now, unfortunately, the cauldron is kind of hard to figure out how to use because you need to put items in a specific order in order for it to work. Otherwise, the items you put in are just destroyed and you can never get them back. And unfortunately, the tutorial doesn't really much help in this either. Your best bet is to go online and look it up. Your champion is used to collect loot for you from far-off lands. You can armor him up with whatever armor you have available or can buy, and you can also give him health and mana potions to make sure he's even more successful. For a small fee, you can send him on adventures where he'll gather loot for you and place that loot conveniently in a small chest right in the middle of your delivery room. Once you have the loot, you can then choose to either sell the loot or use it in the grinder to help with your alchemical process. Another part of your shop you can unlock is the garden. Here you can grow things such as mushrooms, beets, and weed. Yep, weed. You know, African bush, bash, ganja, dank, herba buena. You get the idea. Customers will come from far and wide to buy that shit, especially druids. Druids love that shit, bro. Additionally, you can also expand your shop by saving up money and buying more space, which you can then fill with more items, and therefore get more customers to come buy them. Let's take a minute to talk about the sound of Shopkeep. Now, I really enjoyed the music. It did a really good job of fitting the motif of the game, because after all, you're a shop owner in a fantasy RPG, and the music really reflects that. There's, harpsichord elements, flutes, drums, everything you typically find in RPG music, all right there, and it really fits the time of day well too. In the mornings you have kind of a sleepy, somber, slow, kind of waking up feeling kind of song, whereas in the day phase where everything's really hectic, there's customers everywhere buying things off the shelves, dropping things, breaking displays, it reflects that. The music's hectic and upbeat and action-packed and just going. And then when you transition into the evening, it starts slowing down again, kind of getting ready for bed, kind of slowing down, everything's becoming really peaceful. And I like that transition. It A, lets you know what time of the day it is via musical cue, and also just kind of brings everything together and makes it a little nicer. Once you unlock the music player through the upgrade menu, you can actually choose what music to play, and there's actually a lot of different alternate options for these different phases music. The sound effects were also really well done. When you place down your iron pauldrons, they actually sound like iron pauldrons. You'll hear a clink when you set them on the table, or a when you pick them up. It's really well done. It adds a little bit more of immersion and makes you feel like you're actually interacting with those types of items. Graphics-wise, it's nothing spectacular, but the cel-shaded nature of it actually really fits well with the kind of fantasy, cartoony vibe you get from the game. And with all the different comedic elements, it's really nice. One of my favorite bits of comedy is the fact that you can't jump, and the game will actually tell you, no, stop trying to jump. You can't tell me what to do. I'll jump even if I want to. Okay, fine, I won't jump, but that's because I don't want to, not because you're telling me not to. The character models are also similarly basic, except your character model. Yeah, look at that sexy bod. Oh yeah. But overall are pretty good. Now, although this game is fully released on Steam, there are still some issues with it, and it is still a work in progress. They're constantly updating things, and there's occasionally things that, look a little suspect. For instance, you can actually have 3 arms if you're holding an object and then decide to go into the invoice menu and come back out of it. You'll notice for just a couple seconds, you have 3 arms, which I suppose would come in handy. See what I did there? Hands and Alright, well without further ado, let's get to the ratings. So for gameplay, I give Shopkeep 8 out of 10. For sound, 8 out of 10. Graphics, 7 out of 10. Story, 6 out of 10. Content for cost, 7 out of 10, giving it a total rating of 7.2 out of 10, or 3 thumbs up. If you'd like to purchase Shopkeep and live out your shopkeeper fantasies, you can do so by going to Steam and looking up Shopkeep by Strangefire. Well, that's the end of this review. If you like this review, please leave a like or comment down below, and if you really like what I'm doing, please consider subscribing. That way, you get to stay current with all my different gaming content as it comes out. See you later, guys.